Welcome, Canada Startup. How are you today, Bill?
Doing well, thanks, Dave. Looking forward to another exciting chat.
Fantastic. Well, we've got two guests today. Hello to Matt and hello to Sue-Ann.
Hi. Hi, Matt. Hi, Bill. Hi, David.
Hey, Sue-Ann.
And we're going to have a little first chat about what's going on in the Bitcoin world, in the crypto world. The encouragement to Bill recently has been to set up that Wealth Simple account to start either stock trading or crypto trading. Any updates from the last week, Bill?
I got the account set up. I did a little bit of work today because I remember you saying that when I did the research through Wealthsimple, I was looking for the drips, and I actually found in their help that it says no, they don't do that sort of thing. So I went looking at TD, started through the process there, started for a change for whatever reason. I started to read all the, when they say click this box here and if you agree to the terms. Well, I actually read everything today for a change.
Wow.
And when I started to I actually did a bit of the math on the thing. It just wasn't a place where I was ready to be just yet. Because like you had explained to me before, there is a charge, there is a fee when you do your trade. There's also other fees that happen, like if you don't do certain things over certain periods of time, there's other fees for that and so on. And I'm looking at it just with a rough idea of what I was planning or what I'm planning in the next little while. And okay, this isn't going to work because I'm going to be in the hole and not going to do anything. So I stopped that process. But yeah, I got the Wealthsimple all set up, and probably within the next couple of days, I will get that first trade done.
All right. Well, good stuff. Sue-Ann, any updates on your investing or thoughts of investing? What's been going on in your world of investing?
So I have set up my Wealthsimple. And what's interesting is that my son, he is collaborating with a friend of his who is very much, an invested investor. Like these two are 24-year-olds. His friend is, well on his way and has been providing my son with suggestions and recommendations on what sort of stocks to look at. And it so happened that my son came to me and he said, Mom, remember we were talking about stocks and because I had mentioned to him, and he started sharing with me stories or how he and his colleague, his friend, are collaborating on some of these stocks that his friend has been investing in. And so we've now started we've now have this dialogue. So if he hears about a stock, he comes to me and says, hey, Mom, think about this one. And then if I hear about something, I'll go back to him and say, hey, do you know anything about this stock? Can you come back to me and let me know? So I have started. It's very slow. I'm dipping my toes in the water. I am a novice in all of this. And it's, I'm learning each and every day.
Fantastic. Well, that's part of the journey is financial literacy, financial exploration. Matt, would you want to dip into the conversation a little bit? Are you doing online trading or any type of online investing?
So I haven't done online trading per se. I have done it previously. My focus has been more in the earned income because I've got a stock portfolio already. I know that tonight we're talking a little bit more about crypto and stuff, so I've been watching it, but not necessarily something that I'm jumping into right now. But yeah, I think the big thing that I'm taking away from this and sort of the conversation is just taking those baby steps, right? Getting that Wealthsimple account set up, and like Sue-Ann says, the financial literacy, the discussion that you're having with your son is so key in this day and age, and it's just so important. It's not taught in school. And just even to have those nuggets, and they're watching for this stuff, they've got a whole different perspective on stuff that's going on. And I think that's phenomenal, just phenomenal.
Well, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, it surprised me. I hadn't realized that he was looking into this. It so happened that we were driving. We were in the car one day, and he asked me the question, how much do you know about stock investment? I said, to be honest with you, I have very little knowledge. Why are you asking? And he's like, I am looking into it because he has his goal of where he wants to be financially, and he feels this is one of those avenues that will help him get there. And that's when he said, I've purchased an Apple stock. And I went, oh, wow, tell me more, because I hadn't realized how serious he was about this. And then he mentioned about his friend who is much further ahead or along in his financial planning. And he's learning from his friends and a group of other friends. And they're all talking and they're learning together. And he's like, we don't have all the information. So they're kind of going on what they do know, but a part of it is also what they're comfortable with, and whatever available income available funds that they can use, minus all their expenses and everything else that they can put into their investments. And I thought, wow, I mean, we had raised them with basic knowledge about, finances, but to hear him talk about it in this way and to see how, he's taking accountability at such a nice young age, because I didn't have that get up and go at that age. And to see it in him, I'm learning from him, which is really, really amazing.
And I guess that's the part that I'm encouraging people who might be watching this is engage your kids at a young age, have conversations with them, go and explore the journey of financial literacy with them. Bill and I had the experience 2 weeks ago where my son came in and he talked about it because his last internship was with a crypto company. He's just made an application to start it at his university. Today, one of the currencies that he introduced me to that I just bought 2 weeks ago hit a new high, and I'm asking if he's taking some profits. And so these conversations can be happening. Ethereum is the cryptocurrency that's the second most famous next to Bitcoin. And today it hit a new high, and there's a lot of conversations. On Sunday, Elon Musk joined a platform that I'm about to talk about next, that he had thousands and thousands and thousands of people listening to him, because if he made an announcement that he was going to put money into Bitcoin, Bitcoin probably would have doubled overnight. And so this is a currency that they're saying right now that could go from 40,000 to 100,000 to $500,000. Should you be involved in it? That's the question. Should you learn a little bit about it? And I think that's what I'm saying. This is not financial advice. This is about understanding your American dollars right now might be going down considerably because there's a new currency that people have more trust in than the current US dollar. And so on Wealthsimple, it's one platform that we have in Canada here. You can buy stocks, but you can also play a little bit with crypto. The beautiful thing is when you're doing stocks, there's no commissions, which is very different than when Matt and I first started investing decades ago. We used to have to pay $30 for a buy and $30 for a sale. Quite often we wouldn't do much trading, but these young ones, they could go do a $15 buy and a $15 sell, and they might have made their Starbucks for the day. And that's what they're doing. And it is exciting because we can learn so much from them. And then if we get into that relationship with our young ones, it's not about this hierarchy. It's actually about a conversation. And I think that's my segue into the next section, because I did want to introduce people to perhaps going and exploring their financial literacy, their stock investing, and then their cryptocurrency investing. On Wealthsimple, there's a small charge for a cryptocurrency, yet everyone here could have $100 of crypto, whether it was Ethereum or Bitcoin, or if you wanted to adventure, you'd have what was wild this weekend. It was called Doggy Coin. And it's like there's this whole alternate reality that's existing right now in the crypto world that if you're not doing it, you're actually not allowing yourself to have a fullness of what's out there in the financial world. So that's the part that Canada startups, especially for an entrepreneur, if you're not exploring this is like saying, oh, I don't need to be looking at the internet for my business. Well, any restaurant that had that mentality a year ago is probably not in business right now. And so pivot fast. And again, this is something that we want to explore here on Canada Startup.
So let me ask this, Sue Ann, how old's your son? How old is he?
He's 24.
Okay. So I was just listening to some people talking about, we've got this thing called the pandemic going on. There's a lot of kids that are going to university right now that are doing it online or taking a victory lap and not going because they don't want to learn online. So they're taking trade jobs right now, but they're also looking to investing, looking to other ways to earn an income because they're realizing this pandemic may not be over by September and they may still be online at school and they're not online learners. So there's a lot of things. Now your son's a little bit ahead of that curve, a little bit older than that curve, but I'm finding that the younger generation is a lot more open to things. I mean, there's conversations that I've had with my one son. I mean, he's a gamer. He's one of those gamers, and he's on a varsity team for the university. Varsity team for esports. I didn't know that existed. Right? They're
That's actually been pretty big.
That's for their scholarships. That's amazing. Right?
Well,
we didn't have that when we went to school.
Well, part of it is
poker players too. A whole poker league. Sorry, Sue. Go ahead.
Well, part of it is what you just said, Matt. They have grown up online, whereas we have been more accustomed to face-to-face conversations and brick and mortar buildings and so forth. Their world is online, and so they have this, the convenience of getting all of their information online, as opposed to us, going out there and doing the research and taking the time to do all of that. So that's also part of what's driving it. And so that exposure of being online and having that information at a faster pace than what we're used to, and being comfortable being online. I mean, if they find a new tool, they're not hesitating to figure out how that tool works. I would be sitting there going, okay, what do I do next? In some instances. And so because they're so comfortable with online, learning a new tool, learning how something works, it's second nature for them. They don't have to think twice about it. And so that is part of their advantage as well.
It's fascinating. It's just a fascinating time right now.
I love the way that Matt engages with his kids too, because that's the beautiful thing is that Matt and I met in networking. And so it's fantastic that one of the things that at the end of January, I did one of these little declutterings in my house, and it also opened some space for reconnecting with some people that I hadn't connected with for a while. Well, Matt is the person that I first connected with when I came back from Asia. And he is a great networker. He had a couple of networking groups. In fact, he used a platform called Meetup, which is the one that Bill and I and Sue-Ann are using right now. And then when I reached out, I actually received a message saying that he's moving from Meetup to another platform. And that's what really enthused me today when he agreed to share a little bit about networking. And that's what's great. What you're saying, Sue-Ann, is that we've been trained and taught in a certain way. Well, guess what? We've got to turn our brain onto some new ways of doing things. And Matt, for me, is one of these guys who is leading the edge for many of us who might not be full boomers, yet close to being boomers. And so, Matt, share a little bit about perhaps your transition from the traditional platform that you were using to a new platform, and perhaps the excitement that you're sharing tonight.
Sure. Okay. Well, let me play a couple of things back. So I still believe very heavily in networking, but the networking is changing over time. We've got, as I said earlier, the pandemic going on. The days of passing out business cards is gone by the wayside. So, our kids are going, oh yeah, well, you can just ping somebody with this and you do that. And meanwhile, we've been living in a world where we'd be disinfecting all our business cards before we hand them out. We just have to get used to a new way of doing business. So, I ran these meetups for better part of 3 years. And for me, it was I'll say, for lack of better terms, a funnel. It's a way to connect with people, right? Because Meetup is out there saying, oh, if you're interested in entrepreneurship, Matt's got this meetup. Why don't you come out to his meetup? So that was kind of like my horn that said, hey, come out and meet. So we'd have meetups for entrepreneurs, for masterminds, and that kind of thing. Well, along comes the pandemic. And so all these things could go online. And I think there's a lot of people that are, and again, these are just my opinions, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to agree with them, but I believe there's a lot of people having Zoom fatigue right now. So if I introduce yet another Zoom meeting, are people apt to go, yeah, they still want to connect. There is a connection that takes place. But I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to sort of coast that a bit. I had a couple of online webinars that I was running, and that was fantastic. Been doing those for the last year and still do those. But I wasn't doing them in a Zoom format. So I'm going to say about 2 weeks ago, I was one of my mentors on the internet side of things, on the Instagram side, had said that they joined this thing called Clubhouse. And I'm like, Clubhouse? What's that? Like, I know of it as a seasoning, right? Well, this is a brand new social media platform, and I'm going to get the numbers all wrong, but I'm just going to say there were around 6,000 people when I Googled this. There were about 6,000 or 60,000 people on Clubhouse the beginning of December. It's been around since March of last year. I hadn't heard of it. And this person said, yeah, they were on. They thought it was really neat. It's kind of like going to a big convention center, and there's all these rooms, and people are talking and chatting about their niche. I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting. And so it's only right now for people that are on iOS, so on an Apple platform, whether an iPad or an iPhone. It's an app that you download and you get access, and it's by invite only. I've got a couple of invites, but if you don't get an invite, you can always download the app, put your contact details in, and go on a wait list. And anyone that is on Clubhouse will get a message that says, oh, Sue Ann is waiting in the waiting room. If you know her, because we may have your phone number in our contact list, we could just wave you in. So it's only by people that know each other that you can get waved in. Otherwise, we'd have to send you one of our invites. And they give you very limited. When you start out on Clubhouse, they give you one invite. So it's kind of like this little club. And I thought, okay, that's cool. So I just started attending. Now I think, well, as of Sunday, this is before they made an announcement that Elon Musk was speaking on Sunday night. I don't know how many people are on there now, but
6 million.
they were like 2 million people.
6 million.
There were 2 million people. We go from 6,000 to 2 million in a month.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is interesting. And I've done a lot of work on Instagram. I've done a lot of work on social media. I build a whole online business completely in the online space, not selling to friends and family. So when I use Instagram, when I use Facebook, if I was using LinkedIn, if I'm using any of these Pinterests or any of these social media platforms, it's very visual. Yes. I'm creating a picture. I'm creating a post. I'm creating a video. I'm doing something on YouTube. I'm doing an ad. So all these things, and I'm going to talk quickly. So if I'm talking too fast, slow me down, Dave.
You're doing great, actually.
I did on this stuff, okay? But everything's pictorial, and I've got to write a caption. I have to write some kind of sales content to get people to convert. And that's all fine and good, very visual. Instagram, I thought, was always just something where people put pictures on. Snapchat, just something where people put pictures on. But there's a whole business side to this. Well, along comes Clubhouse. There's no video. It's voice only. It's audio chat only. So imagine if you didn't see me and all you could hear me doing is speaking what I think of Instagram or what I think of Facebook and stuff. There's a different connection. And there are people that like to listen to people, not necessarily have to get all dolled up and get all fixed up to present. And so it doesn't matter whether you took a shower this morning or not. I'm not on Zoom. I don't have to look good. It's not like I can wear shorts down below. I can do whatever I want. But people, I will be creating a connection with people that's like no other. So the concept of Clubhouse is it's running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If I go on to Clubhouse right now on the app, I can actually see what rooms are going on right now. There's entrepreneurs talking about things. There's Shark Tank individuals that are having people come on stage, and it's like going into a hotel room. And if I'm in the audience and the topic is mindset for entrepreneurs, positive mindset for entrepreneurs, there might be 3 or 4 moderators on stage talking away. And if I have a question, I can raise my hand and then I can speak. They'll pull me up on stage and I can ask my question of whoever it is. Could be a multimillionaire, could be just a brand new entrepreneur, could be whatever. But I'm brought up on stage and I get to speak and ask my questions and have people answer my question. Just the act. If I went on stage and Dave answered a question, it builds a credibility for Dave that Dave knows what the heck he's talking about. Now, all Clubhouse is a place where there's connections made. In your profile, it links back to your Instagram and it links back to your Twitter account. So all you're doing is building a following offline on Instagram, on Twitter. So Dave, for instance, could go and host a room about mindset or meditation, and people come in and they talk about some challenges that they have on meditation. Well, by Dave hosting that room, Dave now becomes the guru about meditation out of the 2 million people. And there's lots of people that know all about meditation, but Dave now becomes the guru about meditation. So if he wants to pitch a book, if he wants to pitch something, and not about pitching in a negative way, but if he wants to portray that he's an author about meditation on his Instagram account, that's where he's funneling people to. That's where the transaction takes place. He's not in Clubhouse selling.
So can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, please do.
So do you feel by taking away the visual, it's taking away the noise, and you're actually able to have that one-on-one conversation without being superlative with anything and all the antics and stuff like that?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what my race is. It doesn't matter what my skin is. Doesn't matter how old my hair is. It doesn't matter anything. I've just taken that whole facade away.
So here's my question.
Go ahead.
Why would they go to that format, which would be almost a vintage format when you think about radio? Because with radio, all you're hearing is the voice, no other distractions. So where is that push and pull now without the visuals? Is it because what you just said, we are zoomed out with all of the visual conversations, that we need to kind of quiet the mind a little bit and just allow our listening skills to kind of compensate for the overstimulation with all the visuals? Do you feel that's the benefit of Clubhouse, or it's just the way we're now networking in a new way?
I think you're going to see Instagram coming out with a competitor to Clubhouse. I think that you're going to see a competitor to Clubhouse coming out on Facebook.
Yes.
I think it's an additional way, just like Instagram was pictures, then they went to video feeds with IGTV, and now they're doing reels because that's what TikTok was doing, really short 15-second, 30-second vignette type quick videos. I think auditory is important. There are some people that learn visually, tactically, and auditorily. And I think that there's a big gap in that auditory side. And I could get that from a radio station, but to have all of the radio stations congruent on one platform in one location is phenomenal. I can connect with anybody that I want to at a very short point. And the point you brought, Sue-Ann, that's very cool.
The other thing is that it really is it's stimulating for those that have ADD. They can jump around to all the different rooms. It's also, if you're in a meditative state, you can go into a dark room, you can turn the lights off, you can close your eyes, and you can just listen, or you can raise your hand and ask a question. You can go practice your speaking. There are topics across the board. There, of course, there's a lot of very big influencers who are running rooms for like 10 hours because they're bringing their whole team to run like a 10-hour information seminar that is interactive. And if you have an aspiring influencer, you get up there and you can talk to some of your heroes. Who have you seen on so far, Matt?
Paris Hilton, Grant Cardone, John Lee, John Asaraf, wide array, a lot of multimillionaires. Also people that are just humble beginnings, just learning how to, like mompreneurs that are just starting their business and don't know where to start on Instagram or whatever. So you've got the entire array, and these people are helping out. Now there's other sides to it, where they've got these, I'll say, marathon events just to get followers and things like that. And there's a dark side to Clubhouse too. But they've been valued at, I want to say the last valuation was at $1 billion. There's discussion that's the reason why some of these more prominent figures, I don't know if you heard about this, Dave, but some of the more prominent figures are joining Clubhouse, is they're bringing their following with, and then the person that has the most following or has done the most conversions or whatever may get a stock option.
Yes. And
that stock option could be worth a lot of money. Who knows?
So the founder of Clubhouse was on CNBC yesterday morning, because it was such a big event where Elon Musk and the founder of Robinhood were on Clubhouse on Sunday night. It was 1 a.m. here Eastern time. It was 10 p.m. in LA. And so it is creating a buzz. And there's I think what Matt said, it's a different way to interact. There's a lot of people who are driving and they're listening. There's a lot of people who are on the train and they're listening. So it's very interactive, and it does allow people to grow, and they're growing their skills, they're growing their business, they're growing their network. And I guess the fact that it's fairly new, there is a buzz to it. And I do believe you're right, where our other friends on Instagram and Facebook will be soon to join. Did you have another question, Son?
Yes, I do. So why is the popularity of this platform overtaking something like Audible? Because if you're driving, you can tune into Audible as well and listen to a podcast or whoever is speaking. Why is it more gaining such popularity?
I'm just going to submit, and Dave, you might have another side to this, but it is so wide ranging that you start to find your tribe. You start to find the people, and you can come with questions. A podcast is one directional, right?
Yes.
You can have a podcast, and I'm going to talk about Bitcoin right now, or I'm going to talk about Instagram, and I'm just preaching. I'm just telling you. But in this case, I'm going to talk about Instagram for a second. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. I'll bring you on up. And I'm the expert on Instagram, or I'm the expert on being an entrepreneur, on how to fund a business, or how to this, or how to that. And it becomes very interactive. And people like that.
Hugely interactive, hugely personal. I don't know, Matt, did you know that I was in the meditation one yesterday? Because I went in the meditation one, and I also went into a healing one, and I also went into a mental health one. And so these are very personal, where people are telling their personal stories, and a therapist can give them an intervention or assist them offline. The one guy was saying, I can't meditate. Can you give us tips? So about 5 of us, in really a nice, gentle way, spoke from our own experiences to give him some insights on becoming better at meditation. Yeah. And it really was it wasn't trying to sell you something. It was from this experience. I used to have difficulties with meditation, and I attempted this one, and I attempted this one, and this was a challenge. And these are 3 tips that you can use. So it really is an opportunity to share and express care. And if you do that well, then I imagine, Matt, you're going to get the followers. People are going to click you. They're going to like you. They're going to maybe follow you onto your Instagram or onto and that's how it can be used as a tool to actually start some real friendships, relationships, and even businesses.
Yeah. And it's about giving as much as you can. Just come from a place of giving. And just give. And, if Dave happens to have an ebook about meditation that he has on his Instagram account, and he helped this person finally get to a meditative state, do you believe that this person will click on Dave's profile, go to Instagram, and now stalk Dave for a little while and see whether he's really valid? And if he is, he might just buy that ebook. Right? But there's no transaction. There's no e-commerce transaction that takes place on Clubhouse. It's just a forum to bring all of humanity together. And when you have people on there talking about green initiatives, when I think the 6th of January, when all the things went on at the Capitol, they actually had a room open up and they said, isn't this deplorable what's going on? People were talking about it. You can have something open up right away. They had Elon Musk rooms, they had this rooms, that rooms. They've got dog trainers training people. Right now we're in a pandemic. People can't train their dogs. They can't go to puppy training school. You can have somebody tell you what you can do. Just, hey, your dog's nipping. Okay, here's what I suggest you do. You can get all this support. And I think we're just at a perfect crossroads where we're all in the middle of a pandemic. We're all in the middle of some things going on planet Earth. There's some whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's the political unrest that's in some countries in Myanmar, whatever the case may be. I think there's a time that humanity can come together and forget about race, forget about hair color, forget about everything, and just be authentically yourself. And I think that's where the power is. I really do.
And I'll pick up on Matt. And Bill, I'll welcome a question from you in a second. It's also it's beautiful what you just said. It really is. You can go to any of these places and you're welcome, yet you're also able to put in that I want to have a conversation about Black Lives Matter, or I want to have a conversation about LGBTQ. And so you can put a post there, and people who are sliding by can come in and drop in, can listen, can raise their hand. There's a decorum, there's a engagement, and there's also a willingness to just listen. And it seems that a lot of people are there really looking to serve and to give are showing up.
And there's an algorithm too, just like Facebook has an algorithm. So I'm presented a number of rooms that are running right now that are all entrepreneurial because I'm more into the entrepreneurial space. Yeah. But if I was going into more of the female demographics, I might be getting more mompreneur things coming up on my feed. And those are the rooms that get presented to me. It's so cool.
Bill, do you have a question there, Big Bill?
Poor Bill. Yeah, go for it, Bill.
No, this has been really interesting. So Matt, what are you doing right now? Like you've mentioned the whole networking thing. What tools do they offer, or what are you able to do to to build a relationship that you take off? Like I guess if you want to look like, say, on LinkedIn, you'll create a connection with somebody, and then you can go forward and build something offline. What does Clubhouse have that would allow you to do that?
So my niche happens to be helping entrepreneurs grow an online presence. So I could have a room and just talk about things that I'm doing on Instagram. Have a question and answer forum just about Instagram. I could have a forum about Facebook advertising because I share with parents how they can set their business up online using Facebook advertising, and they never have to sell to a family or a friend member again. They can do all this stuff. And so since I set up people with pandemic-proof businesses, I can have a room and just teach people about that. Just teach. And if they're interested, and so my networking room could be just that. When I was doing meetups, I'd have a meetup and give away Instagram tips to people. They'd come to the Williams in Brampton, and we would talk about Instagram all morning long. And, banter questions. What are you doing with your profile? What are you doing with this? What about pictures? What about reels? What about this? And we would just have conversation. This is no different, but now I've got a global reach as opposed to just a reach in Toronto. And I can help entrepreneurs in Tennessee. I can help entrepreneurs in LA. I can help entrepreneurs in Sydney. And that I find is beneficial. It's free. It's not like I have to pay Meetup anything. I still think there's a time and place for Meetup. I don't think Meetup's going by the wayside, but brick and mortar meetups are going by the wayside for the next little while. I think they'll come back again. I think there's going to be a need for that in the future, but for the time being, I don't think you're going to see that. So for being able to put a room together and just talk about what's topical to me. Hey, I just got a brand new puppy. I could have a room about puppies. What are you doing with your puppy? Tell me about your puppy. And we can meet offline in Instagram. It's whatever my heart desires to talk about. And if I feel like just sort of scrolling through and saying, oh, here's a room that's talking about entrepreneurs for Instagram, I'm not the one hosting the room. I can just pop in and add whatever value I can on some questions that show up. I belong to one group that somebody runs every day. One day they're talking about Instagram. The next day they're talking about influencer marketing. I don't know that much about influencer marketing. I'd like to learn. So I just pop into the room and I learn. It doesn't cost me anything except my time. I can have this running in the background while I'm doing my work. And if there's something I want to chime in, I can. But it's not so much that, it's the connections. For me, it's all about the connection. Just like we're connecting right now.
Right.
Imagine being able to connect with 50, 60, 70 people that are interested in the same thing. You want to start a podcast. What if you were to get together with a bunch of entrepreneurs that are the same level as you right now, Bill, that want to learn how to do podcasting? And you just share the war stories of, well, this is the mic that I bought. Well, this is the one that I bought. What do you like about this? What do you like about that? You don't know who these people are, but you're learning.
Yeah.
Just about podcasting. We're not even talking about Wealthsimple. Then there's another room on Wealthsimple. There's another room on Bitcoin. And you can just go from room to room and learn and learn and learn. That's what's cool.
Right. Agreed. It's one of those things that you can really stimulate the dopamine because you're going around looking, and then you can also get still and deep if you would like, and you engage and you raise your hand and then you go in a queue. So you have to demonstrate patience and decorum. And so there's different ebbs and flows that is really quite fascinating. And you can do it all lying in your bed, closed eyes, just listening. And so that's a pretty cool thing. And then if you know you're going to speak, you might step up, make a move, get your adrenaline going so that you sound like you're awake and excited. So it really is quite fascinating. I have a question for everyone, though. I'd love
go for it.
to pick your individual brains on, if you were to again, walk down this corridor, what topic, give me one or two topics that would really raise your interest that you would go in. And I'm going to maybe start off with Matt, just because he's done it, but then Bill, and you could make one up. That's what's really beautiful about it. It could be something that would maybe stimulate your business mind or your curiosity or whatever interest you have.
So right now, just because of where I'm at in my business, I love everything to do with social media, and I love anything to do with apps, smartphone apps. And beyond that, entrepreneurship, starting out your business, connecting with people that want to start their business. And lastly, people that have lost their jobs through the pandemic, to see how I can help them. So for me, it's about helping.
Beautiful. Sue-Ann.
Ooh, what I would like to learn about would be a little bit more about AI and how it's being applied today and where it's going to go in the next 5 years, followed by interior design, because I do have a staging business and I would like to get some more insight into what others are doing. And I think also, how can I help people as it relates to bringing people together in terms of unity and diversity, because that is a passion of mine. And I would love to hear what things people are doing to bring us together.
Beautiful. And yes, those topics are there. It's funny. There's Asian communities, which actually I popped in. There was Black communities that I popped into. There was rapper communities that I popped into. And a unity and diversity is definitely a very popular topic.
I'm just going to use home design just because you said that. So I quickly typed it in. 325 members that are meeting in a room right now just for the love of home design.
Ah, see?
Cool, right?
Yeah.
It's not like people looking for a podcast. I'm just using that as the example.
Yeah.
I can do the same thing with artificial intelligence, and up pops a room.
Yeah.
That's the power of this. The AI Club, 1,300 people.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill, what about yourself?
Oh, I just getting all kinds of ideas here. I agree with Sue-Ann. I'm interested in the AI thing. I'm interested in coding, podcasting, social media. I'm also interested in cartoons and comics, history, drawing styles, and last thing, I won't go anywhere without saying hockey.
Absolutely. I can see Bill. I would definitely support Bill for a hockey meetup. That would be absolutely great and would just be fascinating. And they do have professional hockey players on there. And I did notice some professional football players on there. And that's the beautiful thing, is it's attracting such a wide range of people. Because again, think about it. If you're a professional athlete and you've just dropped in after the game and you're going to bed, this is something you just go on to. And there's a number of guys, actually professional athletes, that are talking about financial literacy because they really want to teach kids. They just know how much the education system's letting down kids, particularly in their financial literacy. So something that's very exciting. Thank you so very much. We're going to wrap it up in the next couple of minutes. But Suzanne, if you got one more question, Matt's here to answer. And
I think the question I need to ask Matt, we would need another 20 minutes, so I'm not going to at this point.
You can reach out to me on Instagram, no worries, Suzanne. You can connect offline, okay. No worries whatsoever. Right. If you have an iOS device, hop on Clubhouse and follow me. Follow Dave.
Okay.
Bill?
I agree with Suzanne. I got like at least another hour's worth of questions, but I'll make one simple one for you, Matt. What's been your most favorite room that you've been in so far?
I'm probably going to say that it was a room that Grant Cardone was talking about his TV show, Undercover Millionaire or Billionaire.
Billionaire.
They took all his money away, and he's got to go in and he's got to recreate an entire business. And he had rules and things that he wasn't allowed to do and whatever. And he has to do everything without, nobody's allowed to know who he is. If somebody finds out who he is, he cannot do a transaction with them. And so just to listen to the behind the scenes of how they put that together was fascinating. Yeah. And just the nuggets that he dropped. What's the first thing you would do? What would you do with this? How did this happen? Why did this happen in New Mexico? Now for him, he's doing this because he wants to get more viewership. So he's talking about this as much as he can. And he'll tell you that's why he's on here doing this. But it was fascinating to get inside his mind and hear what he was saying.
And I'll pick up from Matt, because I was listening when Grant was being interviewed right before Elon, and someone asked him, what question would you ask Elon? And Grant said, I would ask Elon Musk, would you be willing to appear on a billion-dollar show? And basically, that he's really marketing that idea. So he wanted Elon Musk to take up the challenge to go and be the secret billionaire and do the show. So it's quite fascinating, because it really is having a conversation with people or asking a question of people that you might think you could never talk to. And I think I was sharing a little bit that my first experience was with Les Brown. And I met Les Brown in Singapore because he's a very famous speaker. He's 76 years old. He used to travel over 300 days a year. And now he is loving being a grandfather and a great grandfather and enjoying time with his family. So it was quite an interesting, just step up and ask the question, raise your hand. And sometimes it happens quick and sometimes you have to wait in queue. Yet that's part of the dynamic. So Matt, thank you so very much for investing your time with us today.
Cool, yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you so much, Bill. As usual, really appreciate your support and encouragement. And I have a feeling if I was to look into a crystal ball, I have a feeling we might be seeing each other or hearing each other on another platform, perhaps in a week. I would be pretty confident within a month. What do you think, Matt?
I'm down. I'm down for it. Let's do it.
Again, the idea here is perhaps, I will just stretch it. Perhaps I'd like to plant the seed, Matt, is perhaps you could give us some ideas and even brainstorm with us on ways that we can collaborate. And as we've seen, most of the rooms are supported by 3 or 4 co-host moderators. And there might be some ways that we actually can become a tribe that can really support building out our messages, because I have a feeling the thing that's very, very relevant to me and also noticeable is that we really come from a similar place, all 4 of us.
Yeah. And I would just throw this out for you to think about, all 4 of you. What is 1 or 2 topics that we can open a room on and we could talk endlessly for hours on? And if we just open that room, that's all it takes. Let the people come themselves. They can be pinged into the rooms or whatever. We're just there to have a conversation like we did now. If we had this conversation on Clubhouse, we would probably have about 40 people in the audience right now listening to us. And we didn't do anything special tonight. We just had a conversation. Yeah. And then the next time you do it, you'll have 60 people, 80 people, 100 people. And then the tribe starts to realize, oh, you're a mom and you've got a son that's 24. Okay, well, I can relate to that. I'm going to follow you. I want to get to know you better because of the business that you do. And the same with Bill. I want to learn more about podcasting. So if we just start small like that, the rest can happen from outside of that.
Cool.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. That was great.
It looks like Dave just had an internet connection happen there. I don't know if we should wait for him to come back.
Maybe we should.
Yeah, let's just wait. We can keep talking and talking and talking.
So have you in starting your businesses, have you been online the whole time, or did you come from a traditional business and then merge into online?
So I came from a corporate background and I've been an entrepreneur now for 14 years. And if I was to play it all back, I've run online stores on eBay and online stores on Amazon and done brick and mortar stuff. Now more than ever, with all the things going on the internet, it's so much easier to run a business online. You've got so much opportunity.
And how did you find your transition?
From corporate to being an entrepreneur?
Yes.
Scary.
Oh.
Right? Because I went from having an income one day to no income the following day and had a family that I had to support. However, as long as you keep taking forward action steps, it'll be okay. And if you
Okay.
have a corporate job, I tell people keep the corporate job until that time changes for you, that you have some choices. But no, I do it over again in a heartbeat. And Dave's back. We're so happy to see you smiling.
Yes.
Hey, welcome, Dave. Thanks for coming out.
We have to stop talking about him now.
I love technology.
Dave, all I was saying when you fell off is we start a small conversation with the four of us, just like we had now. We'd probably have 40 people in the audience. All we do is we talk about something we're passionate about, and the rest goes from there. It's not rocket science. And do that consistently every week, and we can have a lot of fun with it.
I have a feeling we're going to connect in the next couple of days, Matt, and we'll find a way to get our two dear friends here on, and we'll explore it. And Bill, if you can do a little bit more research and you're comfortable with it, Sue-Ann, we'll make one of these invitations for you, and we'll see if we'll explore this on another platform and see what magic can unfold. And I have a feeling it could be really absolutely miraculous.
Yeah.
Thank
Matt,
you, Matt.
thank you
It's a
very much
pleasure
for your
to meet
time.
you.
Nice to meet all of you. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Great to
Matt.
see you. Bye.